Welcome on in, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to start off running plays foundations today. So this is like your first real plays you actually be running in the studio. So we're going over cues today. So we have our visual cue. That's something you're going to do to create a picture using your body, using your hands for that person to get them to move correctly the way you want them to. You have your verbal cue. That's just talking. Your tactile cue, that's going to be touch. So touching appropriate parts of the body, getting them to move correctly. And then your mental cue is going to be that creating that picture, that visual image for them. So talking about visual cues first, using your body to get that member to perform that exercise, how you want them to perform it, right? Most of us are visual learners. So show, tell, do is always what I say. Show them how to do it, tell them how to do it. But you also want to show them what they're doing wrong. I find that's very helpful with members as well. So if they're doing something like an RDL and their back is super rounded, show them what that round back RDL looks like. Be exaggerated. Super rounded shoulders, kind of struggle to get up, grunt a little bit, make it look like it was a real struggle. And then show them what it looks like with, their shoulders rolled back and down, a neutral spine all the way through, hinging appropriately at the hips and coming all the way up. As a demo coach, perform those exercises with excellent form from the setup to how you're putting the weights away. Members see those things and they will mimic exactly what you do. So be very aware of how you demo. That's going to help you definitely mitigate a lot of issues during class. So those visual cues, do that exercise, weighted or body weight, perform it in front of them with that perfect execution, then have that member do it. It's important to be seen, all right? You can't give a member a visual cue from behind them. You want to be in their eyesight and you want to make eye contact with them. Let them see you perform it correctly so they can then execute it themselves with good form. Be thorough, use full range of motion. But if you're saying, hey, you got to really lock out that bench press and you're doing this with your arm and you're not getting full range of motion, I guarantee your next set, you're going to see that person just kind of doing pulses. But if you show them, hey, you got to really lock out that bench press at the end and really straighten out that elbow, you're going to see them go through that full range of motion. Pointing at your knees as you're trying to push them out, pointing to places on the floor to where their foot position should be, or how they should be lined up for like a stagger stance. These are all good visual cues. Verbal cues. These are short, quick, concise cues that we're spitting out using our coaching voice, right? We all have our regular talking voice. I'm honestly a very quiet person. I'm kind of monotone and I'm soft-spoken, but when it's coaching time, you got to turn up that energy. You got to turn up that intensity. So the cues should be concise and they should be loud. If you want to be very specific as well, so when I say, hey, throw your knees out when you're going into that RDL, open up from your hips, it's like really, hey, push those knees out. The second they get into that hinge, say out so they can start to expand their hips a little bit and get a little deeper into that hinge. You want to be looking at them and having your voice project right to them. Cone your hands if you need to. Work on that belly yell, right? That comes from deep below to get into those good verbal cues. Tactile cues. This is probably my favorite way to coach is using tactile cues. Touching members is something that is highly effective. We are, number one, getting consent before we touch those members and we be very specific. I always say, hey, just so you know, I'm going to grab your wrist right here and spot you for this bench press because I want to show you the proper range of motion. Wait for that okay before you grab their wrist. Some people don't like to be touched, so just get that okay before you move in. Shoulders, upper back, the knees, the elbows, these are all good, but for all other places, really hands off. I like to always think fingers extended and joined too. So nice closed fingers or one index finger or the back of your hand is really good. Makes it really appropriate. Be gentle as well. No need to jab your fingers into anybody or smack or hit them. You just want to touch that area where you want them to feel, like doing a bent over row, like unilateral rows today. You can tap a member on their back, on the back of their lat, let them know to really pull that elbow past the ribs, force their shoulder back and down. And that's where they're supposed to feel that exercise, right in that lat there. As you're touching right behind their shoulder, right behind that shoulder girdle, that shoulder blade. Jody's been coming out with a lot of good mental cues during his highlight videos. I've been trying to use them a lot during my intros and trying to create a lot more mental cues for my members as well in the studio. Those pictures, those images, or relating that exercise back to that everyday activity that they do. So making that mind muscle connection with that exercise. So, we always say it like sitting back into a chair when you're going for a squat, right? Keeping your chest loud and tall, and sitting back into a chair. That chest fly that we had the other day, like opening and closing the curtain, right? create that image of how their body and how their joints should be moving through full range of motion. You definitely want to try to relate it to something that member will know about, right? So don't be so specific where it's something they've never done or never experienced before. I know I found I've done that on the skier, and I've asked people, hey, you've ever gone skiing before? And they're like, no. Okay, so I can't use the ski reference of you going down a slope, right? But I know you've had reached for something above a shelf. I know we've had to pull something down before. So reach up big, like you're going to the top shelf, get onto those tippy toes and pull it all the way down into your hip pockets. And that's a really good mental cue, right? So I'm gonna take that handle from the top shelf and put it right into my pocket. And that's that full range of motion, that's that full drive we're looking for on something like a skier. Highlight videos, all the cues, tips, and tricks that come out in our athletic webinars. Be proactive, team. When you see that red light, that should be your go. Lots of times we're just kind of hanging out and resting with members while they're resting as well. Remember, red is your green, okay? That is the perfect time for you to get in there with a member, all that rest time to get into the exact details of exactly what you want them to do, how you want them to perform it, create that mental picture for them, stay there when it turns green, watch them perform it, and then you can yell out some of those short verbal cues and get them into that proper position. Any cues that work really well, share them with your team. Share them with your team. We're all here to learn and grow from each other. So spin them out across the network, spin them out across the studios. They help. One I use right now is eye sockets to hip pockets for the skier. I had a coach create that one, and I absolutely love it. We say it during every intro now because it's just so effective of how your hands start from above your head and your eyesight and then end up in your hip pockets. And it's just super useful. So anything you can honestly share and that's going to be effective that you find works for the general public, share it with your team so we can all grow and we can be those productive coaches. So let's put them all together here, right? We got our visual cues. We're going to demonstrate and guide that member through the exercise, even perform it body weight style and just slower with them so they can really understand it. We have our verbal cue, reinforcing those finite details with those short, concise cues in a loud projecting voice towards those members. We have our good tactile cues, asking for consent, using the back of our hand, touching their shoulders, their elbows, their knees, things like that, like forcing that knee out. On our pistol squats today, just tap it to the side a little bit. I guarantee they start trying to push it out. And those mental cues, creating that visual picture, that image for them to go ahead and execute the exercise. So I want to go around the room now a little bit. I want to hear some of the cues you guys have used for this workout today. Anybody get a good cue for any of the stations for duo?
I like to use the trace a C pattern on the floor for the curtsy lunge to help them find that range of motion and to direct that knee behind that opposite heel.
I love that. That's a great image. Tracing the C, drawing like a line in the sand, right? For the hamstring curl on Tuesday, digging your heel into the ground like you're trying to scoop up sand. I use that one. That one was really good as well. That was great, Lindsay. Thank you.
One today that really helped me was the lateral lunge. I always like to tell people to sit in that imaginary chair that's down. So that kind of prevents them going the knee over the toes and keeps them nice and back, chest up the entire time.
Love that. That's fantastic. That lateral lunge is definitely a tricky one, right? Trying to get members to feel that stretch on that stationary leg, that leg that's not moving, right? Forcing your butt way back there, like you're trying to sit in the chair on one leg. It's awesome. Jeremy, hit me.
For the push press or anything overhead, a lot of people don't put their head through enough, so they're just like punching forward. So I tell them to poke their head through the window that they're making with their arms in the bar. So create that window and poke your head through.
Love it, Jeremy.
Another thing on that lateral lunge, I tell people to imagine they're right in front of a wall so that they keep their chest upright as well as they go over for that lunge.
I tell people any like forward or reverse lunge that it's a train track, not a tightrope, so that they maintain distance in the feet. I also do teacher, I have a question for overhead press. Get your
Bicep right to the ear, right? One of the ones I use for the renegade row. Act like you have a glass of water on your back, right? You can't spill that glass of water off your back. Keep your hips squared to the floor as you're doing that row. Feel a lot less hip rotation for that. You know, one of the old tricks as a personal trainer, put like a foam roller on their back. We don't always have that stuff available in the studio, but just tell them, hey, there's glass of water on your back. Don't spill it. Keep those hips real narrow, real square to the floor. You see a good difference in that one as well.
I'm just seeing Amy in the chat said a bow and arrow yesterday with the kettlebell. That kettlebell swing with the high pull is really hard for people to conceptualize sometimes. And I've never heard that one, Amy. That's great.
Yeah,
So
Amy was
imagine
telling me
pulling
yesterday.
back a bow.
Me and Amy were coaching yesterday, and that was an awesome cue she gave during her intro. We used it for the entire workout, and I combined it with from pulling back that bow and arrow to punching somebody in the face, right? And it was really jokey, getting some of our more sensitive members to really punch that weight back down as they go into that swing. I was able to joke with them and have some fun with them about really find that same force back out so they can come out of that swing to high pull.
I got one that's mainly for lining back up the hips to keep the rotation or to keep the tilt from happening, whether that's on renegade rows, anything stability wise if we're in a tabletop position, or even RDLs and deadlifts. I use the term squeeze cheeks to also get some smiles and at the same time squeeze your cheeks like you're trying to hold a fart in. You don't want to let it sneak, so don't let the table tilt, baby.
Yeah, I mean, whatever works, right? I mean, definitely breaking up some of that seriousness and letting members laugh and laughing with them a little bit. This helps, right? This helps you build that rapport, helps you make those connections. And, squeezing cheeks, stabilizing the core, it works, right? It works. It's effective. I love that, Dennis. Thank you.
I didn't expect this one to work, but it has been. It's when you're doing like a standing upright row, I tell them to like rip open their muscle shirt, like they're trying to puff their chest forward, and it brings their shoulders back, and it's been working really well.
Very good. Very good. I love that. Rip open the shirt. And things are clean, right? Like you're ripping off the shirt, keep it close to the body. Doesn't travel far away.
I got one more with the single leg RDLs today. We had a sweet flow station going on. Reach back instead of reaching down. Reach with that back heel, that hovering heel, reach back towards the wall. That way it controls the pace rather than reaching down. So that way we're not flexing at the spine.
Yeah, with the single leg from Cy West.
It's my
Where'd you go? Mike, the
Sorry,
tipping bird is like my favorite cue that I've heard so far this year. It just made so much sense for me, and I just think it's fantastic. So thank you for that one. If you guys weren't here last week, the little tipping birds that go like this, their face comes down and their leg goes up, and then it's the opposite direction. I find that people really pick up on that for the single legs. So that was great.
These are all super helpful. I mean, everybody learns differently, and sometimes the same cue doesn't work. So be very willing to change up your language, change up your approach with a member so you can be an effective coach for sure. If you're trying the same thing over and over again and you're not being effective at all, that's literally the definition of insanity. So change it up a little bit, try something new, get out of your comfort zone, make them get out of their comfort zone, tell them. Like squeezing cheeks, we had a coach who used to say that all the time. I have a member who says, if you're not squeezing your cheeks, it's not a workout. Stuff like this helps. It helps build rapport, helps break up that little bit, that serious, helps them have fun, helps them engage with those muscles, make that mind-muscle connection, and ultimately get stronger. That's what we want our people to do.
I was just going to add to use your co-coach. I mean, if you have been working with a member that's not getting the cue that you're giving them is not connecting with them, we always will go up to our co-coach and be like, I've been telling her this half the thing. Can you try using a different cue? And that always works. A little humility. You might not have it, but they may.
That's why we're a team. Use that co-coach. I've definitely been ineffective with members, and I've had to have another coach come in and say literally the same thing. They're just a little bit more receptive to that member sometimes, and it works. So as long as you're exercising correctly and they're safe, that's what matters, right? Any other questions, comments, concerns? This has been helpful for you guys. Please try all the cues. I always say try to get 5 to 6 touches per person. If you're working early mornings like me, you should have 10K by 10 a.m. and get all those touches in, all right? You guys ever need anything else, please feel free to reach out.
Thank
That
you.
was so awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mitch.